Intercity coming out literally later this year, I think that I have the main bit of story on lockdown. What Intercity is going to be about. There's a lot of question about like, oh, what happened to the Safe Place crew? What on earth happened in the last 10 years of law? What even is the capital? I think I have all of that under lockdown today. Is going to explain all the main bits of Piggy Intercity law. I literally have so much pieces of evidence to back this up. I am 99% sure that this is going to be the start of Intercity. That's why I can say Piggy Intercity explained in the title. So, Piggy Intercity takes place in Avalia, right? We all know that. It takes place in a fictional world. It doesn't take place in the UK, which means that Intercity takes place on the land of the animals. AJ Fried once said on Twitter, he said like, Avalia was only the land intended for the animals. It never meant that it was just confined for them. That's how the player got in. But yeah, it was mainly made for the animals. That's why you make an animal in the game. That's why they're only animals. That's why there are barely any humans. Humans live on a different continent. They can travel to Avalia and maybe vice versa. We don't know how this works. Now, if you go back to the Piggy Book 3 kind of chapter thing, it tells us a lot of things actually. I know Minitoon said Piggy Book 3 may or may not be canon, but come on, if it wasn't canon, he would have told us by now. There's probably most of the things in that chapter is canon. So in that chapter, we see like the outside of it, and we see that life is kind of going by completely normally. We have Miguel, which is another part of our species. We have us, and we're sailing somewhere. So we're not in Avalia, and we're sailing to Avalia from a place that there's humans. So that land that we're on is the land of the humans. And in the land of the humans, Miguel's not infected. There's no infecteds on here. I can't see any infecteds in this frame. There's not the infection in where the player's from. Also, it says on one of the posters that Avalia, the country, is dealing with a worsening infection crisis. Also, that might explain why the player's immune to the virus. So after the events of Book 2, right, the military were given the cure to mass produce. If you remember all the way back to the hidden ending when we killed Tio, but already because apparently he faked his death or something. If you go all the way back to that, the military was given the cure. We give the cure to the military in order to mass produce or do something with it. Now, we already know the infection was getting worse from this point, okay? Which means that there's probably like more symptoms. It's getting worse. The symptoms are getting worse, which explains the human-like mutations in Shattered Hope. Now, at the end of Shattered Hope, we see a cure shattered on the ground. This is the cure because it has the same color. This can only mean one thing. It means that the distribution of the cure by the military has failed. It's gone wrong somehow. Just like Tio said it would. In the hidden ending, everyone glossed over this. He said that everyone would be fighting over the cure. Everyone was going to be like causing a grand war over the cure, and it's just gonna do more wrong. It's not gonna cure everyone, which is probably why the Insolents wanted to stop us from getting the cure. I don't know, maybe they saw something. I don't know how they knew. Avalia had been bombed where the cure was held. That city, by probably like a faction or a group in possession, stuff that could bomb the whole city because they wanted the cure from themselves. They are bombing the city because they want the cure. Now, for some reason, people had no idea what this guy was saying. People thought he said like not the last. He said like some random thing, but he clearly says, I'm the last, I'm the only one. It's the only one that makes sense. So I'm the last, I'm the only one, which means that he's one of the only people, and he is in the process of turning infected, which is why he talks, by the way. That's how he's able to talk. Because they were struggling to deal with it, because everyone's fighting over this cure, everyone's bombing places, and the infection is getting worse at the same time, it is too much for the current government to handle. It's too much for the military to handle. It's too much for any of them. So somehow, in some way, the capital is swept into power to help combat the infection. Probably maybe from like a revolution, maybe because they wanted the capital to lead next because they just couldn't do it, or somehow in some way the capital gets into power. Now the capital look like two things. They look like the Commonwealth from The Walking Dead, which is basically Piggy, because man-eating zombies on the ground, and it's like a post-apocalyptic world, which is exactly like Piggy, but it's also from the Hunger Games, because the capital is in the Hunger Games. Like, that's literally the name. He ripped the name. Now, the capital, we know the capital is an authoritarian, it's like a dictatorship, because in the Hunger Games and in The Walking Dead, which is what Minitoon takes inspiration from, because it's the same thing, the capital is an authoritarian, like, dictatorship kind of thing, and it aims to make the people happy, because if you see, the capital keeps talking about the people, like proper citizens, like helping the country fight back. And also in one of the tweets on the capital, it says, "Where did you get this photo? Never mind, I want it disposed of. We can't let the people seeing this," which means they keep keeping something from the society, which means that they're censoring so that outbreak doesn't break out. What am I saying? Anyway, they then tried to build the country up from the outbreak for 10 years. That's what happens in the 10 years. Therefore, it makes citizens feel hopeful, which is why Minitoon went for that art style, because the capital has like installed hope in the people's minds, kind of like manipulated them into thinking that they've like made it better, or maybe they actually have made it better, but that's what they do for 10 years. Now, this is literally something that Tia predicted free will is destructive for our world, and free will hasn't worked, and it turned everyone to monsters, but the authoritarian form of government has worked, literally just like Tio said. Obviously the capital's like not perfect, because we're still in survivor camps, we need to ration for food, they probably like limit the food, they're probably not doing too well, and also, this is important, they have a military and soldiers to stay in power. They have like a brutal force of military to like oppress people, which is what they do in the Commonwealth, I'm pretty sure. The capital keeps talking about this war, right? And he says like it being the savior of the people, it's gonna save everyone from harm, it's gonna keep you warm at night, like that type of thing. It's the savior of people. Now, what does a wall actually do? A wall, it would keep people in. It will keep people in, which means that keep the power. It keeps people in the city, Intercity, and it also keeps people out. Maybe that's like the infected or something. And people are not being let into the city, and they believe everyone should be equal and no one should have more power. Billionaires shouldn't exist, like Mr. P shouldn't exist. There's no billionaires in this, and everyone's like rationing for food. And they're also, because of the name, the Liberators, a quick little like English lesson for those who don't know, that liberation means like freeing people from prison and oppression, basically, which means that people have to be oppressed for there to be liberators. Like, that's how it works. People have to be imprisoned harshly or oppressed for the liberators to be called the liberators. So what I think is happening is the capital is imprisoning people harshly, and they're trying to get them out. Piggy Intercity will basically be about surviving in a post-apocalyptic rule, kind of like The Walking Dead, with the incidents actively pursuing us. Now, you're probably thinking, Sayf, that's cool and all, but what does it mean for the safe place? What does it mean for our crew? What does it mean for the pony? Does he finally get her best friend back? Giraffe, Mimi and all that? Well, the first thing is that Zizzy never actually gets cured. The distribution of the cure, it obviously never worked, which means that Zizzy never actually got cured, which means that Tio is still actively pursuing us, which also means that I was wrong and Tio actually never died. Tio never died, and we just saw him crumble because of our own hypocrisy, I guess. And also, Lonesome Wayfarer may be Z at the refinery as the Lonesome Wayfarer. He's looking for Z even though she's already infected. And obviously she never speaks, so like she might get like a special cameo. The military might be looking for Kona and the rest of the safe place. In the season 6 journal entry, it says that the military is already looking for me or something, which might be the capital looking to take their tech away for like, because they don't want them to be more powerful, I guess. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. If you want to find out more about Intercity, then that will be the video on the left. And if you want to find more about Piggy theories that actually made a little bit of sense, go watch the video on the right. Also, please subscribe, get us to 4K subscribers by the end of, I don't know, and I'll see you in the next video.